Take a seat, grab yourself a mug of something tasty. Today we are starting The Story of Beowulf, translated from Anglo-Saxon into modern English prose by Ernest J.B. Kirtlan, 1914. Prelude. Now we have heard, by inquiry, of the glory of the kings of the people, they of the Spear-Danes, and how the Aethelings were doing deeds of courage. Full often, Shield, son of Scef, with troops of warriors withheld the drinking stools from many a tribe. This earl caused terror, when at first he was found in a miserable case. Afterwards he gave help when he grew up under the welkin, and worshipfully he flourished, until all his neighbors over the sea gave him obedience and yielded him tribute. He was a good king. In aftertime there was born to him a son in the court, whom God sent thither as a savior of the people. He saw the dire distress that they formerly suffered, when for a long while they were without a prince. Then it was that the Lord of Life, the wielder of glory, gave to him glory. Famous was that Beowulf. Far and wide spread his fame. Heir was he of Shield in the land of the Danes. Thus should a young man be doing good deeds, with rich gifts to the friends of his father, so that in later days, when war shall come upon them, boon companions may stand at his side, helping their liege lord. For in all nations, by praiseworthy deeds shall a man be thriving. At the fated hour Shield passed away, very vigorous in spirit, to the keeping of his lord. Then his pleasant companions carried him down to the ocean flood, as he himself had bidden them, whilst the friend of the Shieldings was wielding words. He who was the dear lord of the land had ruled it a long time. And there, in the haven, stood the ship, with the rings at the prow, icy and eager for the jury, the ferry of the Aetheling. Then they laid down their dear lord, the giver of rings, the famous man, on the bosom of the ship close to the mast, where were heaps of treasures, armor trappings that had been brought from far away. Never heard I of a comelier ship, decked out with the battle weapons and weeds of war, with swords and burnies. In his bosom they laid many a treasure, when he was going on a far journey, into the power of the sea, nor did they provide for him less a booty of the national treasures than they had done, who at the first had sent him forth, all over the waves, when he was but a child. Then, moreover, they set a golden standard high o'er his head, and let the sea take him, and gave all to the man of the sea. Full sad were their minds, and all sorrowing were they. No man can say soothly, no, not any hall ruler, nor hero under heaven who took in that lading. The story. Moreover, the Danish Beowulf, the dear king of his people, was a long time renowned amongst the folks in the cities. His father, the prince, had gone a-faring elsewhere from this world. Then there was born to him a son, a high Halfdane, and while he lived he was ruling the happy Danish people, and war-fierce, and ancient was he. 4 children were born to him, Harogar, the leader of troops, and Hrothgar, and Helga the good. And I hear say that Queen Elan, wife of Ungethel, was his daughter, and she became the beloved comrade of the Swede. Then to Hrothgar was granted good speed in warfare and honoring in fighting, so that his loyal subjects may eagerly obey him, until the youths drew doughty and a great band of warriors. Then it burned in his mind that he would bid men be building a palace, a greater mead hall than the children of men had ever heard of, and that he would therein distribute to young and to old, as God gave him power, all the wealth that he had save the share of the folk in the lives of men. Then I heard far and wide how he gave commandment to many people throughout the world, this work to be doing, and to deck out the folkstead. In due time it happened that soon among men the greatest of halls was now all ready, and Heart he called it, whose word had great wielding. He broke not his promise, but gave to them rings and treasures at the banquet. The hall towered on high, and the gables were wide between the horns, and awaiting the surging of the loathsome flames. Not long time should pass ere hatred was awakened after the battle slaughter twixt father-in-law and son-in-law. Then it was that the powerful sprite who abode in darkness scarce brook for a while that daily he heard loud joy in the hall. There was sound of harping, and the sound of clear song of the bard. He who knew it was telling of the beginning of mankind, and he said that the Almighty created the world, and the bright fields surrounded by water, and, exulting, he set the sun and the moon as lamps to shine upon the earth-dwellers, and adorned the world with branches and leaves. And life he was giving to every kind of living creature. So noblemen lived in joy, and were all blessed till one began to do evil, a devil from hell, and this grim spirit was called Grendel, and he was a march stepper who ruled in the moorlands, the fens, and the stronghold. For a while he kept guard, this unhappy creature, over the land of the race of monsters, since the Creator had prescribed him. On the race of Cain, the eternal Lord brought death as a vengeance when he slew Abel. Not did he find joy in the feud, but God for the crime drove him far thence. Thus it was that evil things came to their birth, giants and elves and monsters of the deep, likewise those giants who for a long while were striving with God himself, and well he requited them. Then he went visiting the high house after nightfall to see how the ring-danes were holding it, and he found there a band of athelings asleep after feasting, and they knew not sorrow or the misery of men. The grim and greedy wight of destruction, all fierce and furious, was soon ready for his task, and laid hold of 30 thanes, all as they lay sleeping. And away he wended, faring homeward and exulting in the booty, to revisit his dwellings filled full of slaughter. At the end of the day, the warcraft of Grendel was seen by men. Then, after his feeding, they set up a weeping great noise in the morning. The glorious lord, the very good atheling, all sat unblithely and suffered great pain, and endured sorrow for his thanes, when they saw the track of the loathly one and cursed sprite. That struggle was too strong, loathsome, and long. And after but one night, no longer time was it, he did them more murder bail, and recked not a whit the feud and the crime. Too quick was he therein. Then he, who had sought elsewhere more at a large resting place, a bed after bower, was easily found when he was shown, and told most truly, by the token so clear the hate of the hell thane. He went away farther and faster, he who would escape the fiend. So he ruled and strove against right, he alone against all of them, until the best of the house stood quite idle. And a great while it was. The friend of the Danes suffered distress and sorrows that were the great time of 12 winters. Then it was made known to the children of men by sorrowful singing that Grendel was striving this while against Hrothgar, and waged hateful enmity of crime and feud for many a year with lasting strife, and would hold no truce against any man of the main host of Danes, nor put away the life bail, or settle the feud with a fee, nor did any man need to hope for brighter bettering at the hand of the banesman. The terrible monster, a dark death shadow, was pursuing the youth and the warriors, and he fettered and ensnared them, and ever was holding night after night the misty moorlands. And men know not ever whither workers of hell runes wander to and fro. Thus the foe of mankind, the terrible and loathsome traveler, often he did them even greater despite, and he took up his dwelling in the treasure-decked hall of heart in the dark night, nor could he come near the throne of the treasurer of God, nor did he know his love. And great was the evil to the friend of the Danes, and breakings of heart. Many a strong one sat in council, and much they discussed what was best for the stout-hearted men to do against the fearful terror. And sometimes they went vowing at their heathen shrines and offered sacrifices, and with many words pleaded that the devil himself would give them his help against the menace of the nation, for such was their custom, the hope of the heathen. The Creator they knew not, the judge of all deeds, nor knew they the Lord of God, nor could they worship the protector of the heavens, the wielder of glory. Woe be to that man who shall shove down a soul through hurtful malice into the bosom of the fire, and who hopes for no help, nor for any change. Well shall it be with that one who after his death day shall seek the Lord, and desire protection in the embrace of the Father. So Beowulf, son of Halfdane, ever was brooding over this time-care, nor could the brave hero avert woe. That conflict was too strong, loathsome, and long. That terrible and dire distress, the greatest of night bales which came to the people. Then the Thane of Hygelac, the good man of the Geats, heard from home of the deeds of Grendel, and on the day of this life he was the strongest of men in the world. Noble was he and powerful. He bade a fair ship be made, and he said that he would be seeking the War King, the famous prince over the Swan Path, and that he needed men. And the proud churls little blamed him for that journey, though dear he was to them. They urged on the valiant man, and marked the omen. The good man of the Geats had chosen champion of those who were keenest, and sought out the ship. And one, a sea-crafty man, pointed to the landmarks. Time passed by. The ship was on the waves, the boat under the cliff, and the warriors all readily went up to the stern. And the currents were swirling with sea and sand. and men were carrying onto the naked deck bright ornaments and splendid war armor. Then they shoved forth the ship that was well bound together, and it set forth over the waves driven by the wind, this foamy-necked ship, like as to a bird, until about the same time on the next day the ship was with its twisted stern had gone so far that the sailing men could see the land, the shining sea cliffs, the steep mount, and the wide sea-nesses. Then they crossed the remaining portion of the sea. The Geats went up quickly on the shore and anchored the ship. War shirts and war weeds were rattling, and they gave God thanks for their easy crossing of the waves. Then the ward of the Swedes who kept guard over the sea cliffs saw them carry down the gangways, the bright shields and armor all ready, and full curious thought tortured him as to who these men were. He, the Thane of Hrothgar, rode down to the beach on his charger, and powerfully brandished the spear in his hand and took counsel with them. Who are ye armor-bearers protected by Burnies who come here thus, bringing the high vessel over the sea, and the ringed ship over the ocean? I am he that sits at the end of the land and keeps sea guard, so that no one more loathsome may scathe the ship army, the land of the Danes. Never have shield-bearers begun to come here more openly, yet ye seem not to know the password of warriors, the compact of kinsmen. Nor have I ever seen a greater earl upon earth than the one of your band, a warrior in armor. And except his face belie him, he that is thus weapon-decked is no hall man, but a peerless one to see. Now must I know your lineage before you go farther with your false spies in the land of the Danes. Now, O ye of far-dwellers and seafarers, hear my onefold thought. Haste is best in making known whence ye are come. Then the eldest gave answer, and unlocked his treasure of words, the wise one of the troop. We are of the race of the Geats, and hearth comrades of Hygelac. My father was well known to the folk, a noble prince was he called Ecgtheow, and he bided many winters, ere as an old man he set out on his journeys away from the dwelling places, and well nigh every counsellor throughout all the world remembered him well. We through bold thinking have come to seek thy lord, the son of Halfdane, the protector of the people. Vouchsafe to us good guidance. We have a great business with the lord of the Danes, who is far famed. Nor of this shall aught be secret, as I am hoping. Well, thou knowest if 'tis true, as we heard say, that among the Danes some secret evildoer, I know not what scather, by terror doth work unheard of hostility, humiliation, and death. I may give counsel through greatness of mind to Hrothgar, as how he, the wise and good, may overcome the fiend, if ever should cease for him the great baleful business, and bettering come after his troubles wax cooler. Or for ever shall he suffer time of stress and miserable throes, while the best of all houses shall remain on the high stead. Then the watchman, the fearless warrior, as he sat on his horse, quickly made answer. The shield warrior, who is made wide awake, shall know how to tell the difference between words and words, if he well bethink him. I can see that this band of warriors will be very welcome to the lord of the Danes. Go ye forth, therefore, bear weapons and armor, as I will direct you, and I will command my thanes to hold against every foe your ship in honor, new tarred as it is and dry on the sands, until it shall carry the dearly loved man, that ship with the twisted prow, to the land of the Geats. To each of the evildoers shall it be given to escape scot-free out of the battle rush. Then they went forth, carrying their weapons, and there the ship rested, fastened by a rope, the wide-bosomed vessel secured by its anchor. The boar held life ward, bright and battle-hard and adorned with gold, over the neck-guard of the handsome Beowulf. There was snorting of the warlike-minded, while men were hastening, and they marched on together till they caught the sight of the splendid place decked out in gold. And it was the most famous of palaces under the heavens of the earth-dwellers, where the ruler was biding. His glory shone over many lands. Then the dear one in battle showed them that the bright house where were the brave ones, and they might straightway make their way towards it. Then one of the warriors turned his horse around and spake this word. Time it is for me to go. May the Almighty Father hold you in favor, and keep you in safety in all your journeyings. I will go to the sea-coast, and keep my watch against the fierce troops. The way was paved with many-colored stones, and by it they knew the path they should take. The coat of mail shone brightly, which was firmly hand-locked. The bright iron rings sang in the armor as they came on their way in their warlike trappings at the first to the great hall. Then the sea-weary men sat down their broad shields, their shields that were wondrous hard against the wall of the great house, and bowed towards the bench. The burnies were rattling, the war weapons of men. and the spears were standing in a row together, the weapons of the seamen, and the great spear grey above. And the troop of armed men was made glorious with weapons. Then the proud chieftain asked the warriors of their kindred, "From whence are ye bringing gold-plated shields, grey sarks and helmets with visors, and such a heap of spears?" "I am the servant and messenger of Hrothgar. Never saw I so many men prouder. I trow it was for pride and not all for banishment, that by greatness of mind that Hrothgar ye are seeking." Then answered the brave man, the chief of the Geats, and spake these words, hard under helmet: "We are the comrades at the table of Hygelac. Beowulf is my name. I will say fully this my errand to the son of the Halfdane, the famous chieftain, unto thy lord and master, if he will grant us that we may salute him, who is so good." Then spake Wulfgar. He was prince of the Wendels. His courage was known to all, his valor and wisdom. "I will make known to the prince of the Danes, the lord of the Shieldings, the giver of the rings, the famous chieftain, as thou art pleading, about thy journey, and will make known to thee quickly his answer, which he, the good man, thinks fit to give me." Quickly he turned then to where Hrothgar was sitting, old and very grey, with his troop of earls. The brave man then went and stood before the shoulders of the lord of the Danes. Well he knew the customs of the doughty ones. Wulfgar then spoke to his lord and friend. "Here are come faring from a far country over the wide sea, a people of the Geats, and the eldest of the warriors called Beowulf, and they are asking that they may exchange words with thee, my lord. O glad man Hrothgar, do not refuse to be talking with them, for worthy they seem in all their war weeds, in the judgment of earls. At least he is a daring prince, who hither hath led this band of warriors." Then spake Hrothgar, the protector of the Danes. "Well, I knew him when he was a child, and his old father was called Ecgtheow, and to him did Hrethel of the Geats give his only daughter, and his son is bravely come here, and hath sought out a gracious friend." Then said the seafarers, who had brought the good gifts of the Geats there for thanks, that he, the battle-brave, had in his hand grip the main craft of 30 men, and the holy God hath sent him for favour to us West Danes, and of this I have hope against the terror of Grendel. I shall offer the goodman gifts for his daring. Now make thou haste, and command the band of warrior kinsmen into the presence. Bid them welcome to the people of the Danes. Then went Wulfgar even to the hall door, and spake these words: "My liege lord, the prince of the East Danes commands me to say that he knows your lineage, and ye who are bold of purpose are welcome hither over the sea waves. Now may ye go in your war weeds, under your visored helmets, to see Hrothgar. Let your swords stay behind here, the wood and the slaughter shafts and the issue of words." Then the prince rose up, and about him was many a warrior, a glorious band of thanes, and some bided there, and held the battle garments as the brave men commanded, and they hastened together under the roof of Hrothgar, as the man directed them. The stout-hearted men went forwards, hard under helmet, till he stood by the dais. Then Beowulf spake, and the byrnie shone on him, the coat of mail sewn by the cunning of the smith. "O Hrothgar, all hail! I am the kinsman and comrade of Hygelac. Many marvels I have set on foot in the days of my youth. The affair of Grendel was made known to me on my native land. Seafarers told how this best of all palaces stood idle and useless to warriors after evening light came down under the brightness of heaven. Then my people persuaded me, the best and the proudest of all my earls, O my lord Hrothgar, that I should seek thee, for thy well knew my main strength. For they themselves saw how I came forth blood-stained from the power of the fiend, when I bound the 5 and destroyed the giant's kin, and slew amongst the waves sea monsters by night, and suffered such dire distress, and wreaked vengeance for the strife of the Geats. For woe they were suffering. And I destroyed the fierce one. And now, all alone, I shall settle the affair of Grendel, the deadly monster, the cruel giant. And one boon will I be asking, O Prince of the Bright Danes, thou Lord of the Shieldings, protector of warriors and friend of the folk, that thou wilt not refuse, since so far I am come, that I and my troop of earls, this crowd of brave men, may alone cleanse out heart. I have heard say also that the monster, because of his rashness, recks not of weapons. And if Hygelac the blithe-minded will be my liege lord, I will forego to carry to the battle a sword, or broad shield all yellow, but I will engage by my hand grip with the enemy, and strive for life, foe with foe. And he whom death shall take us shall believe in the doom of the Lord, and I doubt not the will fearlessly consume the people of the Geats, if he may prevail in the war hall as he has often done with the strong men of the Danes. And thou shalt not need to hide my head if death take me, for he will seize me all blood-stained, and will bury the slaughter all bloody, and will think to taste and devour me alone without any sorrow, and will stain the glens in the moorland. And thou needest not to sorrow longer over the food of my body. And if battle take me, send to Hygelac this best of coats of mail, the noblest of garments. It is the heirloom of Hrethel, the work of Wieland, and let Weird go as it will.